And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever part of the world you are joining us. And we are live for F1 Cockpit Real Racing for Season 6, and we begin at the Australian Grand Prix for this amazing season here it's round 1 at Australia. It is myself, and I'm gonna be at the commentary mic to take you all through to this amazing adventure around the Australian Grand Prix here at Albert Park to take you all through for some great racing. My first time actually on a different game than F1 2020 for the Classic Series for F1 for CRR, but of course very excited to get started for this one and bring you all this fantastic action and racing between these drivers. So we are in here for qualifying all 20 drivers. That is going to be some absolutely fantastic racing between these ones, and 20 drivers always means some great action out on track. And of course, remember, as you could guess, if you couldn't guess already, Cockpit Real Racing, that means every driver, every single one of them is forced cockpit cam, so they will be driving with a cockpit camera on, and they will be having not any sort of a margin to use any other camera in full elite, of course, and that means there is no assist as well. So this league is no other than any other leagues out there in terms of the standard, in terms of the drivers that we will be seeing out here tonight. So we have drivers out on track already, and it is one of the RB drivers. That should be Frankie, and it indeed is. Frankie out on track, leads everyone around out of the garage to be the very first one here in round 1. It's going to be, of course, 50% of the race, so that should be 29 laps around Albert Park. And we already have Frankie out on track. Almost everyone's out on track apart from a couple of drivers, and actually apart from Forrest Jump and Andrew, them being out on the set of Inters, they're still in the pit lane as we have Frankie start with his flying lap heading towards turn 1 with the DRS open, using the battery as well into the right-hander, into 5th, trying to keep it as quick as I think he's kind of keeping it as safe as he can, more than quick, but let's have a look at how good is he doing that. Meanwhile, a couple of retirees from this session, not quite sure whether that is because of some kind of a reason or they have crashed out on track. It is Zeno and Carsey retired out of this one. Meanwhile, hits the wall, does Frankie on the exit there, slightly goes a little bit wide and makes contact with the wall for a moment, just gets it back out on track, but that might have not been one of the best exits out there. And of course, coming back from the Classics Championship, there only used to be a couple of drivers back then in that race, so having all 20 surely makes things good and really makes it feel like we are in for some racing out there. And even in qualifying, what about Frankie? How good is this one going to be? Takes the curb, a lot of it on the inside line. Doesn't look one of the cleanest laps, but let's still see how good is this one going to be. Coming around the final corner now, is he going to go straight or into the pits? He's going to go straight though to try and continue his lap. Very careful on the exit, of course. Don't forget, all of them are inside the cockpit cam, so that surely makes the effect before you get used to 1:18.6, which is a decent time, but I don't think it is going to be enough. What about Peter coming over the line? Petra, in fact, it is, and Woes fastest already 1:17.402. What about others behind? Meanwhile, there should be drivers coming over the line and putting up a lap on board. Meanwhile, we see the Mercedes of Jamin coming over the line to start their flying lap. Meanwhile, there is already a driver who gets disqualified from this qualifying session. Meanwhile, one of the Alpine drivers going to be starting their flying lap, as somebody has already been disqualified from the session, I believe. So 3 drivers already out of this one. What about Diego? Meanwhile, as Hernanos goes fastest. What about the Red Bull? Goes P2, goes Black Shark. Diego Hernanos goes P1. 1:16.6 1 for so far the Red Bull, 1:17.2. Meanwhile, Petrocam is in P3. Frankie P4, still irrelevantly in P4 considering how a lap time it was. What about No Sebo over the finish line? Only goes ahead of his teammate and still in the 1:18. So 1:18.5 for No Sebo at the moment. I'm not sure whether do we see Chris, and surely we do see Chris out here, Rich. He's one of the very best drivers. He should be. Let's see, still out on track. So seeing him exit out of the pit lane, and we'll be seeing drivers coming over the line. What about Jalman over the line? And the Mercedes goes P4, 1:18.0. Meanwhile, one of the Cyber's is coming around over the line, but that's going to be on the inter tire, so it's not going to be going anywhere. Meanwhile, Certain about to start their flying lap as well. So that is interesting. Now here in this one, 12 and a half minutes remain. 10 drivers with a time on board here in qualifying, but of course only a few of them have a competitive time. Meanwhile, a couple of drivers coming into the pit lane, a few of them having been disqualified from this one as well, as Forrest is going to be on a flying lap on a set of inter. So of course 18 minutes, long qualifying session, so drivers usually try and save the first set of tires, save the first run on these tires, and then just give themselves a chance, give themselves an opportunity to use those soft tires to the end for the best chance of the team, for themselves. What about Silva? He's currently in P9. Any of his teammates closer to the top? Not at the moment. In fact, there is a Williams. In fact, Carsey is out of this one, so it's going to be interesting. Meanwhile, looking at this one, Wellman is coming around the final few corners, but on a cool down lap, of course, going to be in lap, in fact, heading into the pit lane. What about Certain Penna, one of the drivers without a time on board, and the only sole Ferrari alive in the session, as the other one has crashed out of this one over the finish line. How good is this one going to be? Goes up to B4. Meanwhile, there's going to be a car of Pia, in fact, it's Chris starting his flying lap. What about anybody else around the final few corners? As we should have the Alpina Forest, but that is not good. That is going to be a lap car into the pit lane as well, making contact with the wall. What about Wellward is the other Mercedes who has got the soft tire boots on. Can he go any closer to his teammate or any faster than his teammate? We are about to find out, though. One Mercedes is in P5. The other goes up to P4 and pushes Certain down into P5. Meanwhile, Petrocam, in fact, PF goes P2. That is a fantastic lap time. We were talking about Chris, his teammate, but he's came out of Celebus as it stands so far. It is currently in P1. Nobody closer to Hernano so far, but at the moment, job well done. Anybody else? I think I do see a LP. I do see a blue car, and that's going to be the RB of Frankie just starting another flying lap. Meanwhile, Stinky in the other Alpine. That is interesting to see. What about Petrica? I know he's going to come into the pit lane as well. So should Certain Penna. He's going to head into the pit lane as well. Meanwhile, one man who doesn't have a time on board yet, but he should be having a time on board very soon. It is going to be Chris over the finish line. How good is this one going to be? It is going to be fastest over the wall and goes on to provisional pole by almost 1 whole second. Chris takes pole position, 1:15.649. And we are yet to find out to see if anybody comes close. I mean, Petrocam P5 at the moment, starting their flying lap. There is a Aston Martin driver though, but they are just going to be starting their flying lap as well. So not a lot of drivers at the moment on a flying and a competitive lap. Meanwhile, one man is improving on his previous time, and that is Silva. But how good of an improvement is this one going to be, and where does it put him? Only P11. Still falls short of the top 10 spot, 2 tenths behind of the top 10 spot. Meanwhile, Frankie in the other RB is coming around the line. His teammate is in P9 at the moment. No Sebo. Does he get any closer to his teammate or goes faster than his teammate? Silva, Frankie over the line, does improve, but doesn't improve enough to see himself go improve by position or get any better than his teammate. So that then means him at the moment in P10, still stays in P10, but Oh, he's actually set up exactly the same time. The Alpine behind him of Stinky has set up the exact same time as Frankie. 1:18.339, setting up identical times, but Frankie set it up before. That means that he still keeps his P10, and the other one has to stay behind. What about Petrocam in the other house? Over the line, does he find an improvement? Yes, he does, and goes on to the second row on the grid in P3. It pushes PF 21 and Diego down. That is a very good lap from him. Meanwhile, his teammate Forrest is going to be starting a flying lap. One of the Aston Martins, that is Captain Teamless. He's going to be far down, but he's made a mistake, surely, as his lap was invalidated. Now he'd be looking for a better and faster lap at this point as it stands. And both the Sauber drivers on the out lap at the moment, getting started with their out laps as it stands. So 7.5 minutes now remain. Every single driver in the session has got a time on board, apart from Kasi, Zeno and Mitrandir, who are out of the session. But I wonder if they were banned or something. That could have been the case as well, because if I'm not mistaken, somebody wanted to join, but since the grid is locked up very early. Oh, it is invalidated. Hernanos backs out of this one very early and in no time, as he's invalidated this one. He found a bit of time in that first sector, but not enough to see himself go any better at all, and invalidates out of this one. What about the Sauber teammates? In fact, one driver doesn't improve. Does the Benjamin? Does Gelman improve slightly? Not quite sure. Oh, has a big snap of oversteer there. Goes on to keep going forward. He's on a flying lap, that's for sure. His battery is being used up. What about Dance in the other? In fact, it is going to be Teamless over the line. Does find a second in his time, but not enough to go any better than 17. Goes very wide onto the grass, comes back on the track. Slightly closer to the wall on the outside, but enough to keep him out of the wall. Meanwhile, Diego comes in the pit lane. So these a couple of drivers coming out on the track, but not finding a lap good enough, not finding a lap very fast enough, so just heading into the pit lane and going for it once more. What about no assist, though, over the line? We'll be seeing him go over the line. He doesn't improve, 1.3 seconds. Could have just been a prep lap, though. Just prep through and go for a lap. That's going to be very good towards the end. Meanwhile, Dance is going to be the next car over the line. His teammates down in P17. Dance is in P15, but does he go any better and ahead of no assist over the finish line? No, he can't. Doesn't find an improvement at all. Meanwhile, Sertan Penna is in P9. 1:17.8 was the time that he did, and that means he's going to have to do a... in fact, he says disable, so I wonder if he's on a flying lap at the moment, which I doubt he will be, but still a decent lap from him, 1:17.835, but still over 34 hundredths of a second down on his previous on the car ahead. Meanwhile, he does find an improvement over 2:10s in the first sector, so surely that means that he's on a flying lap, and these 2:10s might just see him go enough to P8, though not further. He needs at least over 8:10s to go further than P8 in this one, but can he do it though? What about PF21? Any quicker? Yes, he does go quicker. Meanwhile, the two Sauber teammates, Hernanos does find an improvement and goes into the 1:15s and gets closer to Chris this time. Gets closer to Chris Neifer at the moment, and for P1, 1:15.834 is the time from Hernanos. Meanwhile, his teammate Andrew goes P3 as well, goes on to the second row, so both the Sauber teammates very closer. What about Sertan over the finish line? Does go find an improvement and goes on to P8 into 1:17.5. That is interesting. To others couldn't improve. In fact, did better than Gelman, but not enough, as Forrest Jump did improve in the end, and that didn't allow Sertan to get any closer. Meanwhile, Sertan is going to be a driver in P17 at the moment, as Forrest Jump is he was improving. That is interesting. I think he was improving in the middle sector. So not sure what was the plan there, but he's decided to come into the pit lane and see himself not go to the end, as almost about 4 minutes now remain in this one, so anybody's game, anybody can still take it. What about the McLaren duo of Chris, who's he's invalidated his lap already? What about his teammate? He did a better lap earlier on, so he's not going to be going for another one. So I wonder who's going to be on a flying lap at the moment. What about no assist? Is going to be heading into the pit lane as well. So not a lot of drivers out on a flying lap at the moment. Only a couple of them though. So just give me a minute. I'll just quickly grab my water bottle and be back with the action. And there we go, we are back with the action, and apologies if anybody in the chat is trying to chat around. I don't have the chat on OBS for some reason. It's not showing up here in my OBS, which usually does, but at the moment it doesn't, so that is, it has its own plans. So getting on this one then, almost every driver out on track at the moment, apart from the 2, 3, 4 drivers in the pit lane, but they are exiting rapidly as well, as of course everybody wants to be over the line, going over the line in a very better position. What about Frankie? He sure is finding some improvement in that middle sector. Over the finish line, does find enough and goes on to P9, gets himself into the top 10, pushes Gelman down. What about anybody else over the line? Meanwhile, Diego in the Red Bull. Is he looking for any improvements? Yes, he sure will be in these ending moments of qualifying. 1:16.8 is his previous time. Does he go any better? Yes, he does, but still stays P4 and stays where he was. Meanwhile, Petrocam cannot improve and has invalidated his lap. There was a Aston Martin right behind, and it is Captain Teenless as he's starting his flying lap. The two Aston Martins have got the authority of the final row, not on the grid, but final drivers in qualifying at the moment. What about the Mercedes of Wellward? He's just starting his flying lap. Anybody at the bottom, the 2 Alpines are starting their laps. So are the 2 McLarens. Meanwhile, Petrocam finds himself in the gravel. One of the Mercedes drivers, that is Jalman, has retired out of this session, so that is surely interesting, and it opened things to go interesting. Meanwhile, Silva is going to be starting his lap as well as one of the McLarens right behind. It is PF21, finds an improvement to the end of this one. I wonder if his lap is ended or he's just going for it. I think he's going to be going for it just about now and seeing a competitive time over the line into the final sector, and now not a lot remains, ladies and gentlemen, so it's going to be the qualifying over for Diego as he comes into the pit lane. He will not be getting another lap. What about Ricky? He's far away from the finish line. His teammate Forrest Jump is closer to that finish line though. Meanwhile, Andrew over the line is away, and now everyone who's going to be going over the line will be taking the checkered flag, so this is going to be the end of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Teenless comes into the pit lane. What about no assist? He's a bit away from the end of this one. Petrocam isn't away, but he comes into the pit lane as well. Wellward doesn't. He's looking for some improvement and go any further, being the sole Mercedes in the session so far. Over the finish line, does improve by over 5 tenths, but goes on to P8 only. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of Certain is behind, and I think he's taking the checkered flag into the pit lane. Meanwhile, no assist is going to be the next driver over the line. Does improve by a tenth, but still stays P7, P8, 14, and there's no 7 Seba goes P11 and pushes a couple of drivers behind, as we have now the two drivers at the top, and Chris is going to increase his pole margin even more, goes faster, even faster than his previous one, 1:15.1539. What about Andrew though? Does he go any quicker or closer to Chris? Yes, he does get closer to Chris, but not quicker though. 1:17.740 is going to be the time so far. The two drivers that remain with a competitive time. Forrest is on an invalidated lap already. Can Hernanos get closer to Chris? He needs minimum 3/10 to get his pole position. Is he going to be able to get it? No. He's bailed out. He's bailed out. It's going to be 2 and 3 for Sauber. So a nice one into the race, but surely that is now they're going to be interesting to see as Chris stands tall and on pole position in this race, as he's going to have it to himself. I wonder if something did happen between drivers in qualifying, of course, of those being out of this one. We have 5 drivers out of this one, so that is a big one for sure. So definitely that explains on why exactly a couple of them have got out, but then also not so angry, not so happy with one another as well. So, and that, ladies and gentlemen, are the qualifying results. Then it is going to be Chris on pole, and takes pole position out of everyone by over 2/10, with Andrew in P2, followed by Hernanos in P3, Diego in P4, with PF, Petrocam, Forrest jump, Wellward, Certain, Frankie complete the top 10. Outsider, no Sebo, Gelman, Selva, Silky, Stinky, no Sebo, Dance, Captain Teamless, complete the top 17. The drivers out of this one are Kasi, Zino, and Mitrinder, those without a time on board. And we are now getting ready for the Australian Grand Prix, as we've only gotten started here at Australia, to begin with all this action and all this amazing racing between these drivers. It's going to be 29 laps of racing, competitive racing between these drivers. So I hope you all watching will enjoy this one, and really this is going to be the one to enjoy and remember. It's a season opener here in Australia. It doesn't get any better than this F1 Cockpit Real Racing Season 6 Round 1. I wonder if actually there's going to be a formation lap or not. That is actually a mystery of you know, of my commentating career, in terms of like whether, you know, there is a, you know, qualifying or not. There is, all right, there is a stream, and oh, interesting. So I think Certain himself is streaming the race, so that explains why there's 2 streams out on track. But hopefully this one is going to be a nice one, as drivers are getting ready, of course, readying up, selecting their setups, teams getting their cars ready before some exciting racing out on track, and ready to go racing at the moment. And there we go, the formation lap is on, and we are ready to go racing. Chris on pole, ahead of Andrew, ahead of Hernanos, with Diego, PF completing the top 5. Just outside of Petrocam, Forrest Jump, Wellward, Certain, and Frankie in the top 10. Outside of no Sebo, but Jalman, Silva, Ricky, no assist in P15. Then just outside are Dance, Kasi, Zino, Midrandir. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but it's a bit of a difficult name to get, to be fair. So that is then Captain Teamless as it stands. So let's get started. Who do you think is going to be taking the victory and winning this race by a mile? I don't think anybody's going to be winning it by a mile, though. The speed of Andrew and Hernanos has been decent in qualifying, not far away from Chris, so they're going to be fighting it out. But so looking at this one, I think it's going to be a 2-stop race, 29 laps around here. It's going to be interesting. So almost everyone on a set of these soft compound tires in that first stint, apart on these first stints, you know, being on a set of mediums here at the moment, apart from Wellward, Frankie, no Sebo, Jalman, no assist, and Dan. So the two Williams, two RBs are on a set of hards, along with one Haas and one Aston Martin being out on a set of hard compound tires. And we are more than ready to go racing here at the Australian Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. Hope it's going to be nothing but some absolute fun for all of you watching out there, as we're going to just get this logo a little slightly smaller, as drivers are now getting to the end of this one, to the end of this lap. As soon as they are on to the end of this formation lap, we'll be ready to go racing and ready to go. Interesting. It shows one stop as well, so we'll find out whether all these drivers want to do, how much tire degradation is, how much better they can manage their tires. But it is sure going to be something exciting as we have the last car approaching the grid, and now ready to go racing here at the Australian Grand Prix. We're going to be waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights are going to be out, and we go racing here at the Australian Grand Prix. It's going to be a great start for Chris from pole position, a very good start for Enter as well, and Hernanos around the outside into P3 as well into turn 1 to try and keep it smooth. Meanwhile, Diego goes on the inside line, sends it off the McLaren into P4. A position he takes. Meanwhile, Petra's got Forrest jump around the outside. Who's going to be late on the brakes, though? They're going to be side by side. That is going to be Petra just jumping up for the moment and staying ahead. Meanwhile, Valward in P9 with Serton in P8 and Serton in P9 at the moment. Drive to the back. Jalman, Frankie, no Seppo, Rinky, and as it looks like no assist, might have had an incident as he's fallen back to the bottom of this one, with Teenless in P19 and Misrender in P20, and he goes off the track as well onto the gravel. He might try and come back and have a go, and Captain Teenless is going to go try and do some defensive moves on lap 1 out of 29 already at the top. There's somewhat moves as Dance moves up ahead of Zino at the moment and gets ahead, and very wide goes Dance there, super wide into the gravel, almost leaves Albert Park. So does Mitrandir as he goes off as well, as our controller runs out of battery, but hopefully it should be lasting enough. Meanwhile, one man who might not be having enough gap to P2 is Chris Knifer at the moment. Not close enough to be making a move though so far, but a lot of drivers moving out of the slipstream, which we see on F1 25 as well. You know, so many drivers moving out of the slipstream to cool their engines down, to cool down the engines and everything that overheats, because as if it overheats, you're going to be having a problem. Meanwhile, one man who is having a problem out on track is Ricky, fallen down a couple of positions since the start in P16. Now as Teenless is into the gravel, I wonder if there's been contact or something has gone wrong on his own. Teenless finds himself into the gravel. It was one Aston Martin earlier in the gravel. It's the other one right now. Meanwhile, there's going to be a move coming up. Is there going to be a chance for Frankie to be going for it around here? No, he doesn't do it. Meanwhile, Zino does do it, though, on the inside line. And no Seppo gets ahead at the top. There's going to be a chance for PF to come back at Black, and he does so. Come back at Diego at the moment as it stands, and gets the job done. Chris Knifer at the moment has kept up his race lead so far. Meanwhile, Forrest Jump is right behind Petrocam, and there could be a move coming up at the top, though. We could see Diego to go back into P4, and so could Petrocam go into, so could Forrest Jump go into P6 as well. We have to find out. Can we see that? No. just not enough, not around here, not close enough around here. Meanwhile, one man who might just be close enough, Petra for Porus, might try and go down the inside line. No, very well defended for Petrocam there, and he does not allow Forest Jump to go for it on the inside line, and doesn't quite do it at the moment as it stands. I mean, actually, kudos to the drivers that we actually have. Kudos to the drivers. We have every driver in the session so far, and all 20 are at the moment in the session. Sure, we have, got about drivers have a spin around, going to the gravel runoffs, but still not out, and no safety car until 3 laps. At least so far, let's not let's hope that we don't jinx it, we don't get the commentator's curse. Meanwhile, one man who loses out the position, that is going to be, almost puts him into the wall. He almost put Petrocam onto the wall, did Diego there. Not sure what happened there, but he got overtaken, and then he was trying to move back to the racing line. Petrocam was there on the outside, and that could have not ended horribly very well. And one man, it hasn't ended very well at all, and that is going to be Satan. Not sure whether he was tagged. Meanwhile, there was a huge incident at the front. It's going to be the car of Petrocam, and the commentator's curse has really striked absolutely crazy. Meanwhile, Petrocam's car is now in front of the safety car, and the safety car is stuck on track. As we were just talking about how good the driving was, at least so far, keeping him on track and not causing a safety car. Big incident at the back with an incident with the back with Sertan going onto the wall, loses his front wing, still stays in the race though. But Petrocam at the front, I wonder he was tagged and hit by someone at the front because he was racing, and I just saw his car go flying in the air. He went absolutely flying. Not sure what happened there, but that's going to be a long night for the stewards to review incidents like these, as the first safety car is now in on lap 4 out of 29. Are we going to see the medium tyre runners come into the pits and then attempt a race, go to the end, which I doubt will be. So possibly, actually, if you're coming in right now, we'll be causing a 2-stop race. But there it is, Chris. I think 19 drivers in this one. Of course, Australia, walls all around. You could expect another safety car as now. Oh, the Sauber drivers are doing a 2-stop. I think Hernanos might have slowed down a little bit. Chris is already out of the pit box and will rejoin into the race lead, unless somebody who does not join back, who does not pit, and it's going to be Diego, who doesn't pit at all, decides to stay out along with all the hard tire runners, I believe. Okay, in fact, not all the hard tire runners, it's just Wellward who has decided to stay out at the moment as it stands. So that is decent. Lap 5 out of 29 then, so we're seeing some great racing between a couple of moves we saw, not a lot of them, kind of actually, just about, safety car, the safety car was forming up, so safety car, is forming up at the moment, and, safety car here and there, and not here and there, but of course, just, the safety car I was trying to say the DRS train was forming up, so it's going to be nice to back it up. So now the top 2 in this race have not pitted, along with some other drivers. That is the two RBs of Frankie and No Sebo, along with no assist, but I think he might have pitted. In fact he has not, but so interesting. So actually there's more drivers that have pitted in this race rather than those who haven't, so it's only 6 drivers who haven't pitted. Again, it's the top 2 in this race, which is Wellward, Diego, who have not pitted, along with Frankie, No Sebo in the Saubers, in the RBs. Then it is Dance in the Aston Martin and no assist in the Haas, who have not yet pitted in this race at all. No assist got a fantastic start, currently in P10. Carsey and Dance over 8 laps, 8 positions up on their times. And now I think it's interesting to see whether for how long these hard tires can go, because even if they go over 20 laps, I don't think they can do more than 20 laps on these tires to really have them enough speed and enough direction towards the end of it to give these guys enough chance. So Petrocam out of this one, but then Looking forward. Diego leads ahead of Walwood in P2 with Chris in P3, followed by Andrew in P4. Then comes Frankie in completing the top 10 just outside. Nosebo, Hernanos, Dance, Carsey, no assist, BF, Forest Jump, Zino, Jalman and Silva completing the top 15. Just outside are Seoton, Teenless, Midrandir and Ricky in P19 with Petrochem out of this race. So not a lot. I think the safety car should be staying out this one and then possibly coming in to the end of this lap, giving us a lap 7 restart or a possible lap 8 restart, but I think a lap 7 restart is going to be the most suitable. So we'll just give it a bit of rest and let you guys in fact enjoy all of this action, and we'll be back as soon as we are ready to go racing, as soon as we are racing out on track once again under green flagged conditions. And the safety car is in now, and Diego leads ahead of Wellward. And has Diego went for it already? Yes, he has. Already went for it and almost into the back of Wellward goes Chris as we go green flag racing, and Wellward has been already overtaken by Chris, has been caught napping into turn 1. To the back of Chris now is Wellward, and Wellward's now going to have to defend from Andrew as well, as Chris goes defensive on the outside from Andrew, and that is going to allow Wellward to go for it down the inside line, sends it and gets ahead of Chris. Chris there thinking that Andrew was a bigger threat there and defending from him. Meanwhile, at the back, the two RB drivers are trying to fight each other, along with Hernanos at the back in P7. Has he lost out positions? No, I don't think so, because Hernanos has pitted and the two RBs ahead have not pitted in this one. Meanwhile, Diego's left the session. Diego has left the session. That means there's going to be a chance. Meanwhile, Chris is going to be going on the inside line and send it over the head of him into P2. And with Diego not being in the session and the AI driving the car, it is going to be Chris going into back to the race lead of this one, and he does it back onto lap 7. Gets ahead of the Red Bull. Meanwhile, he's going to send it on the inside line with Wellward into P2. He's refusing to give up. Meanwhile, there's going to be a bit of a contact between Andrew and Diego, but Diego, of course, the AI driving until he comes back into the track. He might have to suffer a little bit. He's going to lose out a couple of positions. Meanwhile, Hernanos is going to be the next car trying to get ahead of the Red Bull there, as on the inside line he's going to be heading towards turn 1, very late on the brakes, later than the Red Bull, and ahead into P4. The Saubers really now net P3 and 4 after the Mercedes gets out of the way, so that is great. Meanwhile, one man is doing a great job as well. That's Forest Jump, who might have just gotten ahead of Dance out on track. Meanwhile, Searton is now right behind his teammate. Teedless has made a move on the inside of Mitrenda. Teedless goes side by side almost, going for a bit racing action between Captain Teedless and Mitrenda for a little bit. Meanwhile, at the top, there's two Ferrari drivers outside the points fighting each other, as Searton is now through and ahead of Zeno. He might be coming up. Oh, Noahs is now on the inside line. Does he go for it? No, he doesn't. Just has to stay out. Meanwhile, at the front, there's going to be overtakes as Carsey gets ahead of Frankie, and now based on for it, there's going to be a slight problem, as almost tagged by the Red Bull of Diego was PF in that McLaren. These incidents aren't stopping at all. For a moment, you would have thought that arriving at the first safety car, but these incidents aren't ending at all at the moment. It is not the time for them to end, at least so far, as our race leader Chris has run away and kept his lead to over 2.5 seconds already, and we're only on lap 9 out of 29, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile here, there's going to be a chance for the McLaren to get closer to Nosebo on those old 8-lap old hard tyres. And, oh, that is very close between the two. The McLaren driver might have a chance for it, though. Meanwhile, there's going to be side-by-side action between Sauber, between Sirton and Dancer. Sirton's going to be on the inside line. He's going to be through and ahead of the Aston Martin drivers, who pushed a little bit wide, and that's going to allow the other Ferrari to go through as well. But pushes Dance, making contact and going onto the wall, and he's going to miss the side of his front wing. Not completely miss it, but half the front wing is gone, and now he's going to have to pit for it in no time to avoid any problems in this race. Slight contact between Zino and Dance, and that makes Dance lose a couple of positions, unfortunately, as there's going to be action now, as now Zino struggles to get ahead of Diego. Meanwhile, Nosebo's losing positions at the moment to Forest Jump and PF as well. Lost out a lot of positions, so lap 10 out of 29, 10 laps in this one. That Chris leads ahead of Andrew in P2. The Taosu Sauber drivers look pretty strong. Just remember, this is round 1 of season 6, so it's going to be interesting feat to see how good these drivers are going to be and how competitive this racing is going to be. And remember, I jumped in last minute with only about an hour to go in this race into commentary, so I hope you all watching will enjoy this throughout. Unfortunately, we don't have the comments actually on the YouTube video because of the broadcast setting, unfortunately, but if I am back for future, we'll make sure that is fixed, and a lot of other things are present out there as well. Unfortunately, didn't have much time to set up all of that just now, so this is pretty much all playing as we can get at the moment, but surely action. Meanwhile, there's going to be drivers giving us the action on track as Frankie loses out for a jump. Jump is going to gain another position and goes around the outside of Frankie. Into P6 goes Jump at the back. Meanwhile, Dance gets a 3-second time penalty in P19 at the moment. Last of the running cars with Patricam out of this one. Meanwhile, there's going to be a chance for the McLaren driver to get ahead of Frankie. Can he quite do it, though? I don't think he's going to be close enough to be going for a move. Yes, he will not be close enough to be going for a move. Meanwhile, the two Ferrari drivers in P10 and 11 in the final points position is certain as it stands, as meanwhile Mitrinda is going to be making a move on the inside line. Is Diego going to be making a move as well? It's going to be side by side action as Ricky's going to be going up ahead into P15 and overtakes Diego, as I think surely Diego, I wonder if he's came back onto the session or not, but damage has been done. He finds himself down in P16 now. He was fighting at the top, and he hasn't pitted as well. He has not pitted. Meanwhile, Ananos gets a penalty, and there's going to be side-by-side action between Sebo and Sirton there. As Sirton's going to go around the outside and overtake Sirton in that RB, but has he made that move? Yes, he has, as Sebo is going to lose out that position into P10, as Sirton back in a P9 after a mistake he made around the main straight, going into the pit wall on the inside, but he still makes it work. Still back into P9 as Frankie is ahead of him, and I think he should be ahead of him in no time, as there is not a lot separating these drivers. Meanwhile, as PF in the McLaren is ahead of Frankie as well, and now Sirton should be getting ahead of Frankie as well. Is he going to be close enough, though, as the car ahead does have the DRS as well, and not close enough to be making the move this time, but he's got a better exit key. They're still going to be side by side. He's going to come back. No. And what a move from Sirton into P8. Job well done. And overtakes him into P8 and gets it done. Ooh, goes a little bit wide. Goes very wide, actually, at the moment. And that means that Lap 13 out of 29, now getting towards the halfway distance of this race. Yet to do though, a lap and a half, but now it's going to be interesting to see between these drivers, as Satan and PF, both of them on 7-lap old hard. Who's going to be the faster driver? Who's going to be the better driver in these two? Is it going to be Satan? Is it going to be PF 21? We are about to find out just about yet. So drivers and this little train from Zeno in P11 to no assist in P12 with all the other drivers right behind, but nobody just yet close enough. Nobody just close, not yet close enough to be making the move. Meanwhile at the front, Chris still continues on leading this race by over 2.5 seconds. Meanwhile the two teammates, Hernanos and Andrew, only separated by 4 tenths, and there could be a chance for Hernanos to be making a move soon. But will he be going for it though? We have to find out, because I don't think they'll want that, and they do not want that. In fact, they do not do it though. But Serton is not going to be close enough to be making the move on PF10 though. At the moment, Serton, I wonder if there's a bug or something. But actually, his shift look like they're stuck. It's like he's not even shifting, so not quite sure what is going on as Frankie goes a little bit wide onto the gravel and absolutely struggling. The two RB drivers now, having done over 12 laps on these hard compound tires, so I think there should be time for them to come into the pits very soon, unless actually they are looking for a one-stop strategy and stay out for now and then come out when their time is done. Meanwhile, one man who has done the move is going to be Satan down the inside into turn 1, makes that move and overtakes PF into P7, but now there might be a chance for the McLaren driver to come back in though. But Satan's going to be doing enough and defend his P7 and defend that outside line back onto the racing line and makes the overtake and into P7. His progress is nice. Meanwhile, one man who has overtaken as well, and that is Hernanos, getting ahead of his teammate Andrew, who was unable to make that progress. But look at this. But look at this one though. Hernanos got a 3-second time penalty, so they will need to watch out for that one. He doesn't only need to overtake Chris, but then gain over 3 seconds against Chris as well. As now, I think possibly if the gap is to stay there, if the gap is to stay where it is, possible, just about possible. You know, back and forth between these drivers out on track as well. So we're yet to find out though. I think surely there's a lot remaining in this one, and at the back we are gonna go. Meanwhile, Serton now closer between PF and Serton, so possible chance for the McLaren driver to come back as well in no time. Meanwhile, at the back there is overtakes, and there's gonna be Jalman ahead of Diego. Diego unable to recover after the disconnection from the server. Meanwhile, now Teamless would be in a bit of pressure from Jalman, as Jalman is going to be setting up his height to overtake and get ahead of Teamless. As at the front there has been an overtake, and so has PF gotten a 3-second time penalty, and that is going to give a bit of a peace of mind to Satan. 5.4 seconds to the next car, so far away, but as far as P7 is concerned, he should be okay with this one, with the next driver to him getting a penalty. Meanwhile, actually Teamless doing a decent job not allowing Jalman to be any closer to him at the moment as it stands. Then Diego into the pit lane. I think it is the AI, and it's heading into the pit lane just about now. Meanwhile, at this one again, once more, Silva has spun round, and Silva has spun round on the exit of turn 1 into turn 2. Has spun around, and well, somebody has left us in. Actually, someone, I'm not sure, but somebody did send me a request. Who was it? That is, okay, that is of course Captain Teamless, so we can't invite anybody else in the session, obviously, because they have not friended us in the moment, otherwise we would have. Meanwhile, Zeno has joined us back into the session, as there's going to be an overtake for Jalman, and it is an overtake for Jalman into P16 it is, and so is the overtake for Ricky, and so it is for Nosebo. Meanwhile, Frankie is into the pit late. Nosebo still stays out so far. What about Ricky though? There's going to be a chance for Zeno to get ahead, for Ricky to get ahead, and in fact Ricky's in the pit lane, but Mitrunder is ahead into P11. Mitrunder is in a P11 with Zeno in P14 at the moment. Into the pit lane in the Ferrari, a couple bit of damage. Whole front wing, in fact, is damaged on that Ferrari, and that is going to be the reason he's coming into the pit lane, and that is indeed into the reason That is the reason he's coming into the pit lane, I doubt, because sure, he would have needed tyres, but front wing is more important, and without that front wing, it would have been very hard to drive. Meanwhile, Teenless 4/10 behind Ricky at the moment. Teenless hasn't got a penalty. Ricky has. Oh, he's going to go for it on the inside line. I wonder if he went very late, though. He didn't go on the inside, though, but almost muttered the Alpine ahead of him. Just saves it in no time. Meanwhile, at the top, Chris still leads by over 2.7 seconds. Meanwhile, the two teammates are going to be switching positions once more as Andrew is going to go on to P4. As Silva has retired out of this one, as Serton's going to move. Progress is in for Serton while others are pitting in. I don't think PF has pitted though, but it's got a 3-second time penalty, so I think P6 at the moment, considering looking at the tire life once more. Sure, everyone has pitted once, so I wonder if they're going to go pit twice or not. But alright, so tire life actually, everyone around Ayrton is exactly the laps that they have, and that would have been a very risky move as the Alpine of Williams of Carty, or no, in fact, I think that must have been the retired car of Silva exiting out the pit lane. AI could have ended it very badly for everyone around, but just saves it enough. Does the Mercedes driver, and I think that must have been Baumann around trying to save this one away from the Williams of that driver. Meanwhile, no assist in P14 at the moment. As it stands, is Serton 5/10 only ahead of the next car at the front. There is an incident, and that's going to be one of the Aston Martin drivers, and that is Steenless. Spun round by getting back on the track, trying to recover, and he's without a front wing. And he is without a front wing, so surely a new stop coming up the Aston Martin team's way, and they'll be more than ready to host him into the pit lane for a front wing change, and might as well change the tyres as well. Might as well change the tyres, of course. He's done over 13 laps on these tyres, so with this one, at least it's going to be not a free pit stop, but in terms of, anyways, you have to stop for the tyres, and along with that, you stop brake front wings. Of course, a little bit of more extra time, but enough as it stands. And again, the racing between drivers in this one. There's going to be an overtake once more as the two Sauber teammates are going to be switching positions quite here and there, as Hernano still ahead of Andrew. Though I wonder if they try, hold position one of them. Will they have enough pace to Chris? But I don't think so. Chris took pole by over only 2/10, but I think it was a very good job actually by Andrew, Hernanos, and all these guys at the front, but not enough for them to get closer or take pole position against Chris. And now in this race so far, I think only a couple of gaps within 1 second of each other. That is the two teammates, and then Forrest now comes into the pit lane as well, and then down between these drivers, actually Serton and PF, there's a gap as well. So I think a possible new pit stop going on to a set of medium tire would be an option, but Forrest goes on to a set of hards. So interesting to see for him at the moment as it stands. Meanwhile, at the back, this little battle as well, along with this one. So actually a couple of drivers within 1 second of each other. So we were looking for moves, looking for drivers closer, as no assist is now only 4/10s, actually 4/10s behind Ricky at the moment. And I think a possible move coming up our way should be coming up very soon, with no assist being on brand new tyres. In fact, Ricky is not on older tyres at all as well. He's on 3-lap old mediums. Those are going to be 4-lap olds at the end of this one, and 2 laps to new no assist tyres. But he's just not going to be close enough. He's just not going to be close enough at the moment as it stands then for him to be making a move. No assist just about. Will be trying for it. Will be finding a way to get ahead of Ricky. But can he get ahead of Ricky at the moment? No, he cannot. Just has to stay out. Just has to back out of this one. Meanwhile, there is a Mercedes, and that is Jalman. That is Jalman spun round without a front wing, and these guys are going to almost go into the back of him. As they try to avoid him, as Jalman now goes onto the grass and onto the gravel as well. Yeah, he'll be struggling, and surely he might have took the pressure of cars coming behind, so would have desperately want to avoid that. Meanwhile, one man who would definitely want to avoid no assist, that is going to be Ricky, as no assist is now going to be really at the gearbox of Ricky, but not enough though, not enough on the exit. He might have not got a good one though. But the DRS opportunities are coming up. The opportunities are going to be soon coming up for no assist once more with the help of that DRS, with both the drivers having pitted already. Will not be going for another pit stop anymore, having recently pitted in this one. An opportunity for no assist. He's been ever closer, isn't he? Has been ever closer to Ricky, and on the inside line already before they could even get to the brakes. They're going to collide, and they're going to collide, and Ricky spun round as they were side by side. I thought no assist was through in ahead, but Ricky did not back out at all. Ricky refused to back out of this one, and they made contact. Very lucky for both of them to escape without any problems. Meanwhile, there's a McLaren, and who is it? Is it Chris? And yes, it is Chris. Chris has made a mistake, and he's lost out the lead as well. And with that, we were watching Ricky lose out the lead. He was in the gravel. I wonder if that was a distraction, and that was enough for Chris to lose his concentration. And with that, the two Sauber teammates are going to lead, and it is going to be a Sauber 1-2. Hernanos leads ahead of Andrew with Chris in P3, Krasi in P4, and Seaton jumped up into P5 as the McLaren is right behind him, looking for a move very soon on him. A couple of incidents we've caught on the racetrack, on the track and on the circuit. The Certain going into the wall on himself. Then not sure what happened to Petrocam, but that was a big incident as well. And this one, interestingly, for a moment you've thought actually Gnosis was through in ahead, but he was not, and that made both of them make contact, and Dance is around. I think Dance is facing the wrong way. Does he go into the pit lane? Yes, he does. As interestingly, Gelman has fitted a set of soft compound tires, and oh, that is interesting. Oh, they're going to be side by side once more, as that was the Alpine this time around. The boat Saubers, of course, yet to pit in this lane, so he a bit in this race. So is Chris. And that then might just allow Kasi to take the lead. Hernanos is behind him. Surely they're going to have a bit of a tire advantage, and a bit of tire deficit, and being on the medium tire will help them. But this could be an interesting opportunity for Kasi to take the lead, and Andrew in P2 with Chris in P3. That is interesting. Meanwhile, Certain has lost out that lead. I wonder if he's made a mistake or something, and yeah, sure he has. He's got a left-hand side front wing missing, and that means he's gonna now have to come in for a set of mediums or soft tires, along with a change of front wing, and that actually might have been the reason he was losing out time and positions again and again. And that is now Forrest jumping up ahead of Certain into P6. And Certain losing down a position and tumbling down the grid with a front wing, left-hand side front wing missing on his Ferrari car as Valward. In fact, it's not Valward, it's one of the other cars behind, and that's the other for Aston Martin. It was a lapped car in between. Will try and unlap himself. Meanwhile, one man will try and make an overtake. He'll try and get ahead of the car in front. That is going to be Forrest Jump trying to get ahead of PF21, and he sure will be able to do that. Or is he going to be able to do that? No, he will not indeed will be able to do that. There's going to be a lapped car in between. Gets out of the way in no time. And now once more there's going to be an opportunity for Forrest Jump to go for it though. SPF's going to go defensive on the outside line. No, and he's not going to be enough as he goes for it on the inside line. Makes the move into P5. Job well done to Forrest. Hernanos has pitted in P4, but the top two will actually pit. Yes, they will indeed pit. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Yes, it's not going to be enough. Actually, Chris might just be able to have a free pit stop. You know, because Andrew will need to pit. I don't think Kasi will pit though. Kasi will take the lead, but the advantage is not going to be enough. But I wonder if the top two want to pit, because if they want to pit, this is the time, because otherwise, no matter how big of a tire advantage, deficit you have, but if you don't, if you simply don't have enough laps, you'll not be able to capitalize on that. And look at that, Andrew's already losing out. He's losing out to Car C. Car C behind on 6-lap old mediums. I think this lap has to be the deadline for anyone in this race who's yet to pit and who's yet to make a pit stop in this one. Meanwhile, No Sebo overtakes Mitrander and gets into P10. The final points scoring positions for No Sebo, as Mitrander 21 laps on these medium hard tires. That is impressive. That is actually impressive. I mean, he's in P11, not a bad, not a very good position, but also not a bad position as well, considering so many drivers are on track. So that is a decent stint on these hard tires. Meanwhile, one man out on a set of mediums will be trying to make a recovery. We're about to find out though for how good of a one he can do. Not quite sure. I mean, unless a safety car, a very late safety car in these ending laps, could save him. PF at the moment in P6, 3 seconds behind is the next car. Meanwhile, Certain currently at the moment in P8 as it stands, 17 seconds to the next car. He should have actually been P5 at the moment as it stands, and of course with Andrew being on old tires might have allowed him to get closer to the top, but that isn't the case. Meanwhile, Cassie's gaining. Cassie's gotten ahead of Andrew and is now gaining up on Chris as well. This could be interesting. We might see a Cassie masterclass here, unless Chris decides to pit and then continue on a set of soft compound tires towards the end, but that is interesting to see. Meanwhile, at the back, while Gelman is out, Gelman is out of this one, and that's going to be a late safety car, and that is absolutely crazy. That would allow Chris to get a free pit stop, but the track position will be to Carsey, and now that'll allow Carsey to pit as well. That is absolutely interesting now. Gelman is out of this one in the middle of the track, not quite sure what happened, but this opens the door. This surely opens for everyone around, from Chris, Carsey, Andrew, even Hernanos with a 3-second penalty, I don't think, but even Forrest Jump could have a chance at it, along with Wellward and Certain. This is now going to be interesting to see with the top two into the pit lane. I think it's not going to be enough. Actually, there won't be too long. Chris into the pit lane. Doesn't need the front wing to change at all, as the Williams driver is not going to be into the pit lane. Does he need a front wing? No. Where is he going to come out? Is he going to come out behind Chris? Yes, he is. Going to be coming out right behind Chris, and that is brilliant. Not so for Carsey, considering Chris wouldn't have pitted without the safety car. Even if he did, he would have fallen down and might just have given enough chance for Carsey to win, and now I don't think that chance is going to be enough. Forrest has continued on. Interesting choice from Forrest. He has not decided to pit and continue on to the end of this one, unless he pits on the next lap. But that is interesting. And now pretty much everyone coming into the pit lane on a set of soft tires. For the set of soft tires, Certain doesn't. He continues on for track position, but does he get the track position though? Yes, he does. Pretty nice and easy. Gets out in P6. He'll have drivers behind him on the set of softs, but surely track position somewhat important, and definitely with Forrest being there, if he gets out, Certain into the top 5. Even if he doesn't, a good opportunity for him to overtake him. And with a penalty to Hernanes, this is a golden opportunity. This is an absolute golden opportunity for Certain to a possible P4 finish on his way. When we talk about the late safety car, and it happened eventually in the end, so definitely that explains the importance of focus, the importance of being focused, being determined, and just absolutely still experiencing, expecting anything could happen in this one. And surely it has happened, and now it's all on to those who need to capitalize, who know how to capitalize. And surely it's going to be a big test of drivers. Chris trying to keep his lead, and go on to win the first race of the season. It'll be a great way to start the season. Carsey, one of the other drivers as well, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic for Car C. Remember, starting down in P6, P17, I believe, without a lap time on board. 15 positions plus for Car C. That's going to be an absolute statement. And statements to start the season. Even if he finishes second, this is going to be a fantastic result from P17 and be round 1 of the season. This is definitely something on the cards now. And the safety car should be coming into the end of this lap. Lap 28 restarts, and we should have 2 laps to the end, lap 28 and 29. And we're going to be going up silent for a moment and pick it up when we are ready to go racing. So already the videos and the evidence are out, as Petrocam has already sent something out there, and that means definitely things have been happening, and definitely drivers, I'm not sure whether we'll get to talk to the drivers after the race or not, but even if not, the drivers are going to be pretty pumped, and at least we should get a slight bit of an update going forward from these drivers. Safety car is indeed going to be coming into this one, and at the end of this lap and into lap 28 we are going to be ready to go racing once more for the 3rd time, and for the 2nd time a safety car restart in this race. He hasn't went for it, and he might have just went for it now, Chris. And he indeed has went for it now, but has Carsi went for it as well? Carsi might try and go after him, though. Definitely both of them being on the same tyres now. It's going to be equalising it. Jump only 3 tenths behind, though, but he's on older tyres. He's in between. Is there a lapped car in between? Not quite sure, but surely Carsi unable to overtake Chris at the moment. Anybody else in the back for a chance of the move? And there's going to be a move for Andrew. The Hernanos round the outside. They're going to be side by side and nearly make contact, but successfully Hernanos is going to be making that move. And now Sergio 10 at P6, but a few seconds down on jump with a lapped car in between. He's been getting out of the way, but is it going to be enough? Meanwhile, for the RB of Frank, no, Sebo is going to be right behind the RB of Frankie. The 2 teammates could be seeing up a move. He could be seeing up a move between the 2 teammates at the moment. Diego, I wonder if he was unable to join or just unable to do the recovery at the moment. There's going to be a chance for him to go on the outside, or Zino, is he going to be able to make a move? There's going to be an opportunity for him. Oh, not enough, no. Very well defended for Zino at this moment, and he has done it. And alright, so I wonder if these guys are okay, yes, these guys are indeed lapped down so far. So a possible move as is going to be going, they're going to be side by side, wheel to wheel between the 2. They're going to be side by side. No moves coming up, as in fact Diego just manages to make that move, and about done so far. Meanwhile at the top there's going to be a chance coming up for Carsi, and is it going to be enough for him to make a move? Not enough though, not just right now, but possibly soon. Is there going to be a chance as the top drivers now head into the final lap of the Grand Prix? Final lap of this race. This still could be anybody's game, still could be anyone from the top 3 take it. Meanwhile at the back, Carsi might be in a bit of pressure from Andrew though. But are we going to see Carsi going for a move? Just about yet. I think if he has to go for it, this is going to be the opportunity. This has to be the only time that he has the opportunity. 4 tenths the gap between the 2. I don't think he's going to be close enough to be going for it. But does he go for it though? He does not go for it at all. I think he doesn't want to make a move that's going to be regretful. I mean, only the first race of the season, so definitely more opportunities will be his way. But we might be seeing something special here. A possible photo finish. Are we going to be seeing that though? Are we going to be witnessing something special to the finish line? There's going to be the top 2 in this race. It's going to be Chris over the finish line, and is going to win the season opener in Australia and take the win by only 2 tenths. And brilliant race, brilliantly done by Car C. Starting 17th, finishes 2nd. Indru in P3 as well, followed by Hernandez in P4, with Jump in P5. A very decent result for him as well. Certain, after a couple of incidents, in P6. Well done to him, with Wildward in P7, No Sebo in P8, with PF in P9, along with Mithrender in the other Red Bull. Final points position with no assist just outside, along with Frankie, Zino, Diego and Dance in P15, and Ricky and Teenless in P17, with Jalman, Silva and Petracam out of this race. I think job well done. It was surely a fantastic race and a great season opener, you have to say, and job well done to everyone around. And Chris Neifer, who wins their season opener here in Australia, as we could see somewhat of podium celebrations between these drivers. And look at that, Neifer started on pole, finishes in P1. The fastest lap in the end goes to Indru. I wonder if there's fastest lap points or not, but ended up being the fastest driver. But I think Car C, an excellent race from him as well. P17 start without a lap time in qualifying, remember, finishes P2. Might just have had an opportunity to overtake if one more lap was available, but not enough in the end. And now then Hernandez P4 with Jump P5 for Certain, P6 followed by Wellward P7, No Sebo P10, P0, P10, P8, along with PF, Mithrender, No Assist, Frankie, Zino, Black, Diego and Dance in P15, with Teenless and Ricky in P16 and 17. Then Jalman, Silva and Petracam all out of the Grand Prix and out of this one. But surely this was fantastic. Hope you all watching really enjoyed it. This was myself, Zubby, jumping in as a reserve commentator, and hope you all watching really enjoyed it. As once again, it was myself. It was going to be myself, Zubby, and from all of us here at F1 Cockpit Real Racing. Adios, bye bye. See you next week.